If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as follow me and subscribe to me on all my other social media platforms. What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with another album review for you guys. And tonight, I am talking about another big one that came out on September 29th. I was originally going to do this review on Saturday, but I decided I'm going to do it on Sunday because I needed to take a bit of time, because this is a pretty long album. And I am talking about the 10th studio offering from Celtic Black Folk Doom Metal Legends Primordial with How It Ends. So like I said, this is their 10th studio album, and once again on Metal Blade Records, which again, kudos to Brian Slagle and the gang for picking up these guys, because this is one hell of a band. Now granted, my experience with Primordial, I've only listened to one album in the past, and of course it's what most people would say is their best, To the Nameless Dead. Hell, did a whole episode about the album on the Horseman podcast. It's that damn good of an album. So this is only the second Primordial album I have checked out, and of course it's kind of a big year, I would say, for like the legends of Irish metal, because earlier this year Cruachan had an album and I absolutely loved it. So how does this one stack up in comparison? Well, we kick off with the title track, How It Ends, and it starts off with this, like, melodic, doomy riff with somber harmonies. I would have assumed it sounded like a recent Hooded Menace moment. And then, tempo picks up, and then it gets into this, like, Iron Maiden triplet galloping rhythm and riff. Almost like a slightly darker Iron Maiden, which was really cool. And you kind of get this a lot throughout this album, where there are some amazing touches of classic heavy metal. Now, of course, with Primordial, most people think of them as a black metal band, or a folk metal band, or even a doom metal band. Honestly, if I'm gonna be straight up, I don't think there's really enough folk or black metal on here to really call them folk or black metal on this album. There's more doom going on here than there is black metal or folk metal. Hell, I would say this is more of like epic doom and epic classic metal almost, with just slightly gruffer vocals kind of mixed together, I would say is the best way to describe this album. But there are little touches of black metal, like in the following track, Pluffs to Rust, Swords to Dust. There is this, like, blackened tremolo on top of, like, a triplet rhythm. Made me think of, like, mid-80s Bathory or even Darkthrone to some degree. But the vocals still kind of remain on the cleaner side. Like, the way Alan's vocals are on this album, like, he doesn't really do, like, growls or big screams. It's more of, like, this gruff, clean singing he's doing, which I think really fits this album. But also on this track has a lot of nods. Pluffs to Rust, Swords to Dust. There's a lot of Black Sabbath going on here. Like, the tribal drums to start, but the riff on top of it feels like Black Sabbath. Tasty melodies, but you get a lot of the classic Sabbath swing going on, especially in the second half. Now, the track We Shall Not Serve, you get this, like, cool tension-building, clean guitar, almost like Opeth. But then we get back to more classic heavy metal galloping rhythms and riffs. And it does get really epic on here. Then we get the shortest track of the album, and oh god, I gotta pronounce this. Unta. It's like almost 2.5 minutes. It's an instrumental, but it's a pretty cool instrumental. It's kind of rockin' with the riffs and these, like, harmonized melodies that were gorgeous. Pilgrimage to the World's End. This one brings in a little bit of dissonance, but it still remains pretty doomy. And this is actually, I would say, one of the more somber tracks of the album, because the tone and the feel is quite murky, moody, and kind of sullen, I would say. But then at the very end, you get this incredible high vocal note from Alan, which I did not expect to hear, especially on that song. Nothing new under the sun. This one has a few different things going on. It's more of a rocker, I would say. It's got like a more of a rocking beginning with tasteful clean guitars that do kind of bring in a little bit of that like Celtic folk vibe. But then when the song picks up, it almost gives me a bit of a Judas Priest vibe, but the way it's put together, and even in a couple of sections, almost feels like progressive rock. Like, there are songs on here where I think they do get a bit proggy with how the structures are made, as well as some of the more atmospheric passages. They kind of get a little bit progressive, even though it's a little bit on the raw side. I would dare say there's some prog going on this album. Call to Cernunnos. There we go. Call to Cernunnos. This one feels like a song geared for like a battle and a battle cry. Like the rhythms, the riffs feel like you're about ready to march into battle. Even the vocals feel like Alan is just calling forth his army to take down evil. There's even a notable bass line that comes in here along with like a quick melodic lead line, and that brings me to the leads. Like, you don't get like real shreddy solos. These are more like atmospheric, melodic feeling guitar leads, and they do their best to complement everything that's going on within the song. Now we get to the song All Against All, which was the longest track of the album at almost 9 minutes. It does start off with some suspenseful build, but with some dissonant riffs. And then vocals come in, and they feel like they kind of sit in between black metal and, dare I say, death metal vocals, but then those more gruffer melodic vocals come back. You even get some double time stomps coming up in here that makes me think of Bolt Thrower. But then the tension building towards the middle with the cymbals, dissonance, and the tom work with the drums really kind of build up to like this off time section that again feels like prog, followed by another excellent lead. Death Holy Death, starting off with this like great bass line and rhythms that feel like a doomy battle march. And then a lot of the riffs on here made me think of Mastodon, like that good bounce between dissonance and catchy melody. And even the atmosphere is awesome on here. And even towards the end of the song, after the solo, you hear a faint organ in the background. And then we get to the closing track, Victory Has 1,000 Fathers, Defeat Is an Orphan. We go back to more classic metal worship almost. Like, it's very Iron Maiden inspired with the galloping melodic riffs in triplet form that's really rockin'. Even like soothing, clean, and acoustic guitars that bring back that Opeth vibe. And then doomy rhythms with somber lead lines. So, pretty much as far as the production, like, it feels honest. It's well produced, but not, like, super clean. It's still got a bit of a raw dexterity to it. But the mix is pretty solid. The bass is prominent. The performance from all the musicians involved was just absolutely top-notch. Now, the only complaints, and they're the most minor of grievances, is during that little tension build in All Against All with the cymbals, the dissonance, and the toms, it does drag a little bit, and there are even like other sections on some of the longer tracks where I feel like they do kind of drag just a little bit. After all, this album is over 65 minutes long, so it might have been a bit long in the tooth for some people. I mean, for me, every song delivered. It's just certain parts within a couple of songs I feel like they kind of hung on certain sections for a bit too long when they could have added in something else. But other than that, I thought this was a great fucking album. Now, is it better than Cruachan? Because that album was fantastic. This one, I would say, is about on the same level. I'm giving this 9 out of 10. This was some beautiful, like, epic doom, classic metal, more or less. Not really folk or black metal really to speak of at all. I would say this is more of like a hybrid of classic metal and epic doom. Just maybe the vocal's not like super high range, but you get the idea. But still, fantastic stuff from one of the legends of Ireland metal. But of course, this is all just my opinion. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and until next time, keep your horns high and your dreams wet.